Hello and welcome to Frog Game's final demo for Workshop 1. For my final demo, I definitely suggest that if you can, to try and play the game for yourself, as I do believe it is best served by people playing it. But even if you can't, or you just don't want to, hopefully this video gives you a good idea about what Frog Game is all about. So let's get into it. Welcome to Frog Game, a simple and fun drop merge puzzle game where you merge frogs together to try and get the biggest frog of the bunch, the bullfrog. Aim the lily pad cursor and drop your frogs into the pond. When frog bubbles of the same type touch, they merge together to create the next froggy evolution. Try to fill the frog pond with as many evolved frogs as you can before you hit the top of the pond and you get game over. How many frogs can you fit into your pond? Sounds a little bit familiar, doesn't it? Well, maybe it's time I talk a little bit more in depth about an aspect of frog game I have yet to talk about in one of these videos: the life cycle of a frog. A frog's life cycle is broken into 4 main stages. Stage 1 starts out as an adult frog laying its eggs. When these eggs are clumped together, they are called frog spawn. Before they hatch, they begin to develop their tails, and at this stage of development, they are referred to as embryos. Once they hatch, they move into stage 2 of their life cycle and become tadpoles. During this stage of life, they begin to grow their limbs, until they eventually reach stage 3 and change from a tadpole to a froglet, or young frog. At this stage, they start to resemble an adult frog much more. Their limbs begin to fully form and their tails begin to shrink away, until finally they reach stage 4, when the froglet or young frog has fully formed and is now an adult frog, and the cycle repeats. So what does this have to do with Frog Game? Well, I designed each frog bubble after the life cycle of a frog, as well as some of the native species of frogs from Ontario. Some of these include a spring peeper, Blanchard's cricket frog, a gray tree frog, the northern leopard frog, which is my personal favorite, an American toad, and an American bullfrog. I wanted Frog Game to loosely resemble the real life cycle of a frog, which is why Frog Game's evolution starts with a frog egg and goes through each aspect of the frog's life cycle, with some larger species added for the larger frog bubbles to add a little bit more variety. So now that the vision for Frog Game is a little clearer, let's talk about the gameplay. There isn't much for the mechanics that I haven't already stated multiple times by this point. Aim the lily pad cursor above where you want to drop your frog, hit the spacebar to drop, and merge frogs of the same type together to create the next evolution. And repeat the process over and over again until you either fill up the frog pond and hit game over, or you get bored and close the game. But here's a little secret. The smaller the frog, the more likely they will be able to shove the other frogs around. It's not by much to really tell the difference, but the bigger frogs have less mass compared to the smaller frogs, which lets you use the smaller ones to move the other frogs around a little bit. So, do you like bugs? I know frogs sure do.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
If 3 or more frog bubbles of the same type touch each other at the same time, they all merge together like this, which technically isn't supposed to happen. But if you're really lucky, you might stumble across the fabled frog explosion, where if multiple frogs of the same type merge together at the same time, and there are more frogs of the next evolution beside them, they also join in on the merge party. This makes it so they merge infinitely, making a huge frog explosion and crashing the game but giving you millions of points. Anyways, hopefully by now you've gotten a pretty good idea of what Frog Game is all about. Again, I highly recommend playing it for yourself if you can. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this final video. Goodbye!